This topic that I'm going to talk about is something that has helped me professionally. So if you guys are all business majors, I hope that it will be something useful that you can use as well. It's not only helped me in my professional life, but it's also helped me in my personal life. And that is leading with why. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And the reason for that is most businesses have a tendency to answer the what and the how of what they're doing as a business, right? So that's the extent of what they think about. What are they making? What are they doing? How are they doing it? How are they launching the product, etc. So for scope, just to put a little reminder up here, I'm going to put what and how. I think for the most part, you go through business and that's like what you'll spend 90% of your world and time thinking about, answering questions on. And they're super important. I'm not just discrediting this in any way. But there are also really critical business questions that are answered by another more important one, in my opinion. And the reason it's more important is because the best brands, the best businesses answer it very directly and very clearly. And that is the question of why. So the how and the what are definitely a traditional business strategy. And so just in case you guys haven't had any business strategy yet, which I'm assuming you've had a little bit of intro in, it is, we want to make money, so we're going to do this, which is the what, and we're going to do it this way, which is the how. Plain and simple business strategy 101. The problem with business strategy is that when it doesn't integrate the why, it really ends up falling flat, or it doesn't last for as long as it could. So that's what I'm going to chat with you guys about, and that's what most of my career has been involved in. And oh, it's even going to record my words now, so you can get great quotes out of that.
I gave you my favorite word, so you just wanted to be what you want to be.
Okay, awesome. I don't have to do anything. I can just board up here and kind of like walk around. Okay. All right, so let me give you a quick little overview. You can go ahead and change the slide of what we're going to chat about. I'm going to give you an introduction as to who I am, because probably asking yourself, why does this woman's voice even matter? I'll answer why for you. But secondly, we're going to go into what, how, and why in a little bit more definition, so that when you have the definition, you can actually do something with it. I will show you how it's a great idea to define why for a business. We're going to use some big brands, and I'll show you my company brand. And then I have a challenge for you guys that hopefully will help you in the future, and I'm happy to take any questions. So, anybody have any questions out of the gate that they would love to just ask? This could be me lecturing at you for an hour, which I'm well practiced at and I can do, but it's not my most favorite way to spend my time. Okay, at any point if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask, okay? All right, next slide, please. This is me. So this is probably some things you might be wondering. Who is she? Professionally, I am a recovering C-level executive. I worked for 10 years in Silicon Valley as a CMO. I got really burnt out and moved here to Utah. In Utah, I got really connected with small businesses because Utah has an amazing network of small businesses, and I am now a serial small business entrepreneur. My husband and I own 3 companies: Donati Properties, Donati Agency, and Donati Services. My last name is Donati, so it makes it really easy. Part of the best part of the work that I get to do is I'm a strategy consultant. So I sit down with small businesses every day. I learn about their businesses, the insides and outs, and then I get to help them discover what their business strategy is, or to help them solve a problem based on their current business strategy. I am also a CEO coach, so I sit down with the top leaders of those small businesses, and those are who I work with and talk to. So I have a lot of leadership background, I have a lot of big business background, and I work with a lot of small businesses. I currently have about 10 small businesses that I'm working with at the moment, but I work with about over 100. I have 20 years of business experience, so I love doing this, and I was actually a teacher, geometry, math. If you can imagine the high school students way back when. Decided I didn't like kids very much, but I really like adults, so I'm stoked to be able to do this with you. Education, certification, I have a Bachelor of Science in Pure Mathematics, so that's like a degree in argumentative logic. I have a Master's in Business Administration, so similar path that you guys are on. I am also a real estate agent, just something I randomly did. And then some accomplishments, I got to fist bump Obama back in 2000, whenever, 7, got to age myself. 8, gosh, 9, I don't even remember when he was president anymore, given the inauguration yesterday, but I can also shoot a target at 1,000 yards consistently, cool talent, and I've been fired from multiple jobs, which I think is a really rad accomplishment because it got me to where I am today. I wouldn't have gotten here without getting fired. So that's me in a nutshell. If you guys are interested, that's a QR code. I'm assuming we can share out the presentation. You guys can look me up on LinkedIn. We can connect that way. If you don't mind. This next little piece right here is the company that I'm actually going to talk to you about. So the husband companies are not as exciting as this company, in my opinion. This is my own, founded with my friend. We own Maven. So Maven is a real estate development firm. That's probably why the real estate agent thing was important to pitch your way. Here's some fun facts about the company. We are headquartered in Salt Lake. We were founded in 2017, so we're going on our 8th year. We are owned and operated all by women. We have an all-women team. It's not super abnormal, but it's not super common either. We own 10 buildings. We have about 150,000 square feet of real estate that we own. We have more than 250 tenants. 50% of those are residential, 50% of those are commercial. So we call this mixed use in the real estate space. 85 of our commercial spaces are rented by women-owned businesses. This is cool because we are the largest collection of women-owned small businesses in the nation, which in a first world country, we're pretty sure that we are the largest in the world, which is a pretty cool thing to have. And you can come see us. We're down on 900 South, called Maven, right in between State Street and 200, so right in the heart of downtown. Some fun facts, we generate about $4 million in annual revenue a year. Real estate is actually not that lucrative in the current term, but our portfolio is about $100 million worth of value. If you know anything about real estate, hopefully once the Olympics hit, we're going to be much higher than 100 million. And we can sell everything, get you off to Italy or wherever we want to go. Some businesses that are underneath our real estate arm, for scope, we have Maven District, which is all of that collection of women-owned businesses that I mentioned. We have Maven Stay. We own a boutique hotel. There's 19 rooms that you can come rent. They're right next to the Maven Live, which are the apartments that we own, so you can be with us as a resident. We also have a co-working and event space called Maven Create, and then we have a reformer Pilates and wellness studio called Maven Strong. All right, I'm done talking about myself now. So this is my least favorite thing to do is tell you all about myself, but hopefully you now have some background. What I'm thinking here is, why do they have so many businesses if they are real estate that are involved in Pilates, co-working, and whatever else she just said? That'll come into play soon. That's part of the why of our business. So, if you don't mind switching it for me, let's get into the fun stuff. Has anyone ever seen this graphic? If you've ever taken a marketing class, you may have. This is a rad graphic. I technically drew this one, but I did not come up with this concept. This is called the golden circle. So this is kind of like a bullseye for a purpose. You've got on the outside the what, you've got on the inside the how, and then you have in the very circle your target bullseye, the why. The what is what every company can answer. It is literally, what are the products that they make? What are the services that they sell? So, great example, Coca-Cola. What's their what?
Coke, Diet Coke,
Coke.
soft drinks.
Soft drinks, right? Beverages. Okay, so this is pretty easy, right? They're drinks, they're beverages, they're soft drinks, whatever you want to call them. What about Patagonia? What was that? I heard it. Say it.
I said clothing.
Clothing. What kind of clothing?
Outdoor.
Outdoor clothing. And kind of like you said, you know, you've got some Diet Coke in there, some Sprite, whatever else they have under their umbrella. And similarly, outdoor clothing, they've got some gear and whatnot. But these are really like the easy what, right? You can go through any business in a Rolodex. I don't even know if you guys know what Rolodex is. That was a bad example. Whitney's got me. You go through like a contact list in this form, and you'll find something. You can go like, yeah, I know what they do. Yeah, I know what they do. This is usually if you ask somebody, what's your company? They'll say, Maven, I'm a real estate development company. That's what I am. This is boring shit. I'm not gonna lie. Nobody cares about this. This is not what pulls at the heartstrings of people. This is literally just, it is what it is. So, some companies get down to the house. They go a little bit more narrow. How is the special way in which they do what they do? So, give me an example of what makes Coca-Cola special. What's their how?
Branding,
Branding how?
like on Christmas, like the polar bears drinking Coke.
Yeah. They got something special going on. I would call this nostalgia. They give you that ooh feeling. What else about Coca-Cola? If you drink a Coca-Cola, does it taste the exact same as a Pepsi? Some people will argue absolutely yes, but most of us will say like absolutely not. No, right? Who's a Coke drinker here? Okay, who's a Pepsi drinker? Great. Well, you're both.
I like them both. They
You
taste
like them
different.
both, but they taste different. Okay. So let's call this also the formula, right? There is a, can you even actually see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You can see enough of it to like have it, it doesn't really matter to me, brain, so. So they have a formula, that's their how. That is their like secret sauce that makes them different than a different brand like Pepsi. What about Patagonia? What's their how? What is special? A little harder, yeah? What do you think of? Who do you think of? Who do you think of when you think of someone wearing Patagonia?
Yeah. Alex Arnold or whatever his name is, rock climber, doesn't work for them.
Okay. Is he a mild athlete or is he an extreme athlete?
Extreme.
This is pretty kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you think about like Patagonia now, I can wear Patagonia. You guys might have a different impression than if Alex wears a Patagonia and he's rock climbing, right? For the most part, is Patagonia a product that you're going to find at Costco that's really cheap? Or is it kind of an expensive brand that you know is going to last for a long time? Expensive. Expensive, right? There's something in that quality of how they do it. What else do you think of? Someone wearing Patagonia, what's kind of like their personality?
Granola,
Granola, what does that mean?
like outdoorsy type,
Outdoorsy, what do they usually care about?
the environment.
The environment, okay. So here are two examples of companies, which is this first line right here. They make drinks, particularly soft drinks or bubbly beverages, and they do it with a formula that's pretty well known, right? That's why it's nostalgic. Patagonia makes outdoor clothing, but hell, a ton of different brands make outdoor clothing. The reason theirs is really identifiable, and you can think of, I know that all of you imagine an instantaneous person in your head wearing Patagonia and you judge them for something, right? It's because that clothing that's outdoor, they care about quality. They want it to last a long time, but for the most part, we think of Patagonia, we think of the environment. So, anybody have any questions on what and how? Do you feel like you could just kind of think of a company? I want you to give me one that you can think of and tell me what their what is and tell me what their how is. Favorite brand? I'm actually seeing a ton of brands. What?
Nike.
Nike. What about Nike?
They're saying that like everyone can be an athlete.
Everyone can be an athlete. What do they do first? What is it that they make or what is it that they sell?
Clothing, shoes, accessories.
And you said it, athlete, right? So we're gonna call this athletic clothing for sake of argument. How do they do it differently? Why is Nike different?
I think their logo, their slogan, like just do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you have the mentality, you can do it.
Yep. This is about everyone. So you kind of said it all encompassing, which is great. Good work. So everybody's an athlete. That is way different. Yeah, this found over there. That's great. You did a great job. You guys are all doing great. That's a little bit different than an athletic company that would think about race cars. You know, if you have a really expensive race car, they're not selling it to you. They don't think you are capable of driving that race car. Nike was one of the first brands that came out and said, well, you can drive a race car because you're an athlete. You're a race car driver. You can do this. This is what makes them different, for sure. Okay. Anybody else have an example that they thought of? You guys have zero brand love at all?
Starbucks,
Starbucks. Give it to me. What do they do?
coffee,
Plain and simple. How do they do it differently?
they pretty much spread all over. Accessibility, I would think, with coffee shops. would be the biggest
Convenience. They made what's called third space.
Yeah.
Third space is that place in between work and home where you can go hang and get everything that you want. That's their how. That's very different than a local coffee shop, very different than a Pete's Coffee, different than Beans and Brew, etc. Okay, so we've killed that topic. It's real easy, right? This is the easy. This is why this doesn't matter. It never matters. It has absolutely no real importance when it comes down to selling. And that's because people don't buy shit based on how and what. They buy shit based on what? Can I say shit, by the way? I'm sorry, it's too late.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Okay. So what else do we have? What do you think is that big difference between the what and the how? The why. Why do people buy? Why did you buy the laptop that you bought versus a different one?
Customer experience.
Customer experience. Why does customer experience matter to you?
I don't know, just having a brand that you can trust and you feel like is reliable to you.
You said a word that starts with an F, and it's not a four-letter word, but it is a four-letter word.
You know,
Yeah.
a brand that you can trust. Feel.
Feel. We buy shit because we are emotional people. That is literally us as humans. We have two brains. We have the logical brain, we got the emotional brain. Guess what? When you go buy a car, there is some logical brain there, but what do you really want to buy?
Feeling.
A feeling. That is what why is. That is why this is so important. Brands that can do that, businesses that can do that, leaders that can do this and stick a business and keep it there, create brands like this. You guys didn't give me a single brand that is a brand nobody knows about. It's because when we think of brands, we think of the ones that make us feel a certain way. That's what we're going to talk about. How do you get the feeling? And I promise you that even if you don't go into marketing, this is super important. So, if you don't mind, to the next one. Every business has to have soul, otherwise it dies. Think about all the brands that come and go. They do something cool. That's awesome. It's a trend. It will be there for a small period of time, and then it goes away and it is forgotten about. I can't even name all the different brands that you guys have never heard of that have died since I was a 20-year-old and now your age. Like, shit is just dead. Because they don't have a good why. They have a what and they have a how, and that's really cool for the trend, but it doesn't do very much for the long term. So the why is really important because of that emotional heartstring. This is how companies build it. Mission, vision, and values. I am sure that you've heard it somewhere. In public trading, when a company comes out, they have to give you that 20,000 page report that's quarterly about all the things that they did. They always emphasize our mission, our vision, our values. Okay, every business really does have them. Question is, do they align what they do? Do they align their business strategy with the why, with the mission, the vision, the values? Brands like Coca-Cola, Patagonia, the only reason you know them is because they did. They answered these questions and then they made every single what and how decision from then on based on these things. This is what lets you know if you're making a good decision, it's aligned, or a bad decision, it's disaligned. So the power of this is what's most important. So that circle that I showed you, actually, if you don't mind going back one, I think. Most companies work from the outside in. They go what, how, and then maybe we'll figure out why at some point. The best companies go from why into how and what. So they go from the inside to the outside. So that's a good visual just to keep in mind that if you are centered, if you stay there and you make every decision about what and how from there, you end up making really good decisions. And that's what we're going to look at real quick. All right, let's go one more. Okay, so mission for Coca-Cola. They are a beverage company as we've done, so excellent work on that. Their purpose is that fundamental goal or reason why they exist. This is what they said. I didn't make this up. To refresh the world, inspire moments of optimism and happiness, hence Christmas polar bears, excellent memory, and create value and make a difference. Pretty big and lofty. Second piece there is their vision. That's basically their dream. So this is not necessarily how they're gonna do it, but this is what they really actually want to do as a company. Depending on your outlook on large companies, you can think that this is absolute BS, or you can really buy into it, depends. But they want to be a global leader in the I can't speak. Global leader in the beverage industry built on a legacy of tradition, back to Christmas, quality, back to the taste. Their values, which are their compass, so these guide everything that they do, whether or not they know it's a good decision or a bad decision. Think of it like morals. Heritage, integrity, and familiarity. So let me give you a scenario. Who here was born in 1985? Okay, good. None of you know what I'm talking about. All right. So back in 1985, Coca-Cola launched that can and redesigned their entire formula. It was New Coke. So I want you to imagine that you're in 1985, you're getting out of your DeLorean, you have a coffee jacket on, you know, you're feeling really cool with your Nike puffs. You go to buy a Coca-Cola, the brand that has been around for 100 years by this point. You have tasted it every single day for the last 20 years, because it's making you 20 in 1985. And you go get a Coca-Cola and you get New Coke, and it tastes completely different. How do you feel?
Don't like it
You don't like it, why?
because they took the nostalgia away.
Yeah, they freaking took it from you. They took that sweet, delicious flavor and they made it, actually what they did is they made it closer to Pepsi. The reason they did it is because Pepsi came onto the scene in the 80s and they were stealing market share. And Coca-Cola had a panic attack, a crisis of their individuality as a company, and said, well, shit, we gotta redo the flavor because when we're doing taste tests, people are choosing Pepsi, so we have to change our taste. Well, as you might imagine, this really didn't go well. Next slide, please. So these are all the reasons it was a total F-up. It's just what you said. They took this idea of refreshing the world and being a leader on tradition and quality, and they made something completely different. Well, different is not tradition. It's literally the antithesis of tradition. So they messed up. They also, like I said, they wanted to compete with Pepsi. That competition, the goal to be short-term gains, they need money, created a problem for them. They failed to see that emotional attachment like we were talking about. You don't buy Coca-Cola just because of, you know, it's just a cola. You could buy RC Cola in a grocery store. You buy it because you expect a taste. You buy it because it reminds you of Christmas. You buy it because there's something associated in your memory bank that you want to have it for. And then also, they just failed to remember that their product is their why. This is what is so cool about Coca-Cola. It's the what, the how, and the why, is that they've been around for 100 years. That is actually their legacy. That is where they are so good. That is, people have chosen that product time and time and time again for 100 different years. And then they were like, let's throw it out the window, let's go in the other direction. I don't have the exact numbers because they really don't like to post this, but if you don't mind going to the next slide. This is now literally the most famous marketing fuck up of all time. If you take any marketing class, you will study this ad nauseum, actually. I summed it up for you because it's pretty clear. You don't need to take a whole class on this. But within 79 days, they ditched the entire new product and went back to the old product. I want you to just imagine for a second how much money it may cost if you are Coca-Cola and you make so much Coke in 100 years that you have done everything to switch over your recipe, and then you gotta go all the way back to everything else. You are losing money like crazy. That by business definitions is like a really bad fail. The other component of this is that they literally had customers boycotting, yelling, like pitchforks, everything's out at this point, and everybody hated them. And then they went back. They just went back, they launched New Coke, and they let it be for a while until it very quickly died. And then they kept Coca-Cola and they relaunched it as the original formula so that they could try to like clarify their mess up. But every single person who knew was like, of course it's the original formula. That one's the messed up one, you guys messed up. So there's one quick example. Another one, if you don't mind going to the next one, is Patagonia. So whoever told me they were an outdoor company, great job, they make clothing. They are in the business to save their home planet. That is their mission. That is their goal and their purpose, the entire reason why their company exists. Which makes total sense, right? Because you see people walking around in Patagonia and you're like, yeah, okay, that person likes granola. This makes total sense. The second part is that they want to build the best product, they want to cause no unnecessary harm, and they want to use their business to inspire and implement solutions for the environmental crisis. Once again, environment. Their values, gonna kill this word to death, environmental stewardship, yet again, quality, activism, mostly for the environment, and transparency. So here is a different version of what happens when you have your why and you stick to your why. So Patagonia isn't of itself a manufacturer. They use products. Products have an impact on the environment. So in 2017, they launched that ad. Don't buy this jacket, and if you can't see that tiny little logo, it's a logo of their own jacket. Who in their right mind in the marketing department would put out, don't buy this, because the whole point of their company is to make money so they can, sell. They can keep making. What do you think happened with this one? How does that ad land for you if you care about the environment and you care about the quality and you care about transparency of what you're buying? What do you do with this?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So if you're reading this ad, and you're a Patagonia fan, you care about the environment, you care about transparency and activism. What do you do with that ad? What does it make you feel?
I think I'm not gonna buy the jacket.
You are not going to buy the jacket. Do you own any Patagonia? Yeah. Who here owns Patagonia?
I'd say it makes me confused.
Okay,
That
why is
ad
it making you
makes-
confused?
Well, I don't know, I mean, I have quite a bit of their products and I see something like this that they're posting, I tell me not to, make me confused. I mean, it's really just kind of crosses my current belief.
Okay. Do either of you eat a lot of granola?
Not a lot,
Not a lot, but like a decent amount.
some.
Who eats like a shit ton of granola in here? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Do you own Patagonia?
No,
No. Okay, this is actually great. What do you own instead?
cheap stuff, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't buy specific clothing brands.
Okay, so you're just down for whatever. You're not brand loyal about it. Okay. Well, think about this. What does this make you want to do?
I'd probably investigate why, if I even looked closely enough at it to click that it was the company that owns that jacket telling me not to buy it.
So
So
there's some curiosity involved.
I assume that the point behind that is to make people look at their product and see why it's different.
Yes. Yes. This is what you guys can't see in the ad. But the ad goes on. Once you click through, it goes on and lists exactly how this jacket being made impacts water usage, energy usage, what it's made out of, the impact on the environment. So this may not be as clear, and I guarantee the CEO of Patagonia at the time was probably like, oh hell no, we're not doing that, CMO. That's a terrible idea. And the CMO was like, no, trust me, I know what I'm doing. We're gonna prove the why, and it's gonna work. So do you mind going to the next slide? This worked outrageously well for Patagonia. Now, if you are not a Patagonia buyer, it wouldn't have worked for you anyway. So it makes sense why there would be confusion or the question of like, well, I'm not gonna buy this jacket. But if you are that customer, if you are Alex, who spends all of his time climbing outdoors, that guy who cares about the environment, he really cares about Patagonia and he really cares about the impact that his footprint makes on it. So he now has an option between Arc'teryx and Patagonia, and he goes, well, Patagonia showed me all what's underneath the skirt. Now I know exactly what I'm buying. I know my footprint, and they're trying to lower it. Patagonia reduced their waste and overconsumption by trying to be more sustainable by doing this. They are literally telling you, do not buy a product. Tell you what, we're going to launch an entirely new business called Wornwear, which is an upcycling repair program. Go buy secondhand. You have a giant company promoting thrifty. Unheard of. And it ended up being their largest sales day in history on Black Friday. Because of this. So everybody was like, oh my gosh, I do care about the environment. And I feel like I want to support it. So click, I just bought more of the environment, which is ironic, but it actually did work. One more slide for me. They also changed the entire landscape of the outdoor industry. Every single outdoor company, for the most part now, has an upcycling program. You can trade in your jacket for a new one for credit. You can have it repaired. Because Patagonia, being an activist company, really wanted this to be the actual thing. This is why they pulled out of outdoor retailer in Utah, because Utah didn't support Bears Ears. So it was state they don't care to support. They moved to Colorado where they would have more environmental support. They literally make every decision, no matter how crazy we think it might be, or weird or confusing, based on their why. It has to come back to the environment, activism, transparency, and they have to be doing no unnecessary harm. The irony with corporate America is, well, they are actually still manufacturing, but they're trying to do it in a way because they know that we're gonna buy. We're gonna buy. We're emotional. And they're just wanting to sit, like, just change it a little bit. If you don't mind going to the next one for me. So these are two examples of companies that have a why. One of them chose not to follow it with their business strategy and they ended up losing a ton of money. One of them ended up following it and they made the most amount of money they've ever made in a single sales day. The why is hard because the why is often confusing. It's often counter to what you think. And it's also bigger than money, which is really hard because tell me why you guys are in business.
Money.
Money. I like the honesty. Thank you. What else?
I had to go into nonprofits.
Say that one more time for
I
me.
had to go into nonprofits.
What do you want out of nonprofits?
I want to work with coffee producers. Like, I want to help provide aid and resources to coffee producers
And why do you want
to
to do
get
that?
them more money.
To get them more money, right? So money is like the root, right? We can't ignore this. I'm an MBA, I get it. I just touted some numbers of real estate to you, I get it. But money is a means, right? You want money, why?
To support myself.
Why? With what? How? Keep going.
I'm lost. I don't get it.
Think about it. Why do you want to support yourself?
To live a better life.
Okay, what does a better life feel like?
Good.
What kind of good? How do you define good?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. So you want security.
Yeah.
That is why you want money. Money is the pathway to get there, but that's not actually what you want. You want something else on the end. And I appreciate you letting me drill you like an interrogation student because this is the hard question. This is where you spend all your time. The how and the what, engineers love it. My husband's an engineer, he wants to spend all his time on how and what. I'm a strategist, I love how and what, but it's really operations. This is the cool stuff. What else? What else do you want? You said nonprofit. Obviously nonprofits need money and you need to get money to other people. Why does that matter?
Because the people that are like producing our coffee are not in the greatest conditions currently.
And what are great conditions? Why does that matter?
It can supply better products and enrich their lives.
Enrichment of lives, how?
Through education, through infrastructure, through farm equipment, if we want to get down to that.
Totally.
It can make their jobs easier.
Yes. Give them intelligence through education. It can give them food when there's not food available. Money is the catalyst for all of these things. Who else has something? Yeah. Freedom. It's a great one. And money, in a lot of ways, buys you freedom. That's why the whole phrase of financial freedom exists. At the same time, money can also kill your freedom by putting you into a grind that you circle in and all you do is drive towards money. That is a great example of going away from a why. If you want freedom and you work 80 hours a week for your job and you're on your phone all the extra times after that. You never take vacation, and you can't get married because like it'll happen at some point. And your kid that you have outside of marriage hates you because you never see them. Does that sound like freedom? No. Yes?
A little bit.
A little bit. Which part sounds like freedom? Very curious.
Like for me, like I'm working for the college.
Uh-huh.
Actually, every day, get up, come here to work. That sucks for me. But stay at home doing my own stuff, working like from 5 to I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sleeping. I'm still working. For me, it's like I'm really living my freedom.
But you love that.
I love that.
That's your freedom.
Exactly.
Why do you love it?
I don't know. I feel like I'm living my life at 100%.
You get to make your choices, right? When it's your job, when it's your company, you get to like make the decisions versus someone telling you. That's your version of freedom. It's a great example. This is all how the why comes back to like, sure, a company needs it. Company really needs it. They want to sustain. But if a company is actually just an entity, it doesn't make decisions, it doesn't do anything. We make the company function. Whether you own it or whether you work for it, doesn't matter. We are the embodiment of a business, all the workforce. I don't think until about maybe when Google and Facebook started creating campuses so that you could go and do all these amazing things on campus, the way that they sold it was, we care about you so very much. We want you as a human to really buy into this company. We want you to be culturally aligned, dare I say, synergized with our company. They really actually just wanted you on campus 100% of the time so they could control your life and take away your freedom. That's actually what they wanted, more productivity. But let's say, for the sake of it, they really actually did introduce the idea that you, as an employee or an owner of a business, matters. Because you drive all of the business strategy. It doesn't come up, well, unless AI starts coming up with business strategy and I'm out of a job. For the most part, it's us. We come up with the how and the what. It is our job to define the why or stick with it and keep it on point. So if you are the CMO of Coca-Cola, you're responsible for the reason it didn't have the why alignment. You're the responsible party for why the business strategy went away from the why. It did all the how and the what correctly. It made a soft drink, it launched it, it sold it, ish. But it killed a lot of that brand and a lot of the trust. And now Coca-Cola is pretty much like any other brand. You have preferences, but it's really just based on taste. And most people are like, whatever we've got, it's fine. I'll take it out of the tap. It's cool. Don't even worry about it. Patagonia, you're the CMO responsible for that, or the CEO responsible for it, or the person at the very lowest level that was like, hey, I have a great idea. Let's stop buying shit because it's hurting the environment. And that got clicked up the chain. That's super important too, and it was made by a person. So I say all that dramatically because, if you don't mind clicking, this is the challenge that I give you guys going into business. You might know what you want to do. Accountant, what do you want to do?
Just accounting.
Just accounting, right? That's a means to an end. If you're just going to do it, you probably like something about it, I hope.
I like math.
Yeah, great. I love math too. How are you going to become an accountant?
Well,
School.
Yeah.
And then
practice.
practice, and then
Doing it, I don't know.
doing it. You're gonna schmooze some people, you're gonna network,
Yeah.
you're gonna go to events, you're gonna talk to other accountants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you could go to a company that's gonna be like, all right, what do you care about? I don't actually know many companies that do this. I tell you, I do this in our company, but what and why? What do you want to do with your accounting? What do you want to do with your life? Why does accounting matter to you? No one's gonna ask you that. This is adulting. This is the worst part about adulting. Nobody cares really about you, especially businesses, for the most part. Unless your why happens to be perfectly aligned with theirs, and it's this great network of like they're gonna take care of you. But the reality is probably not. So doing this for yourself is super important. Figuring out why do you want to do something? What does accounting give you? And it may not be accounting, and that's okay too. Your why, it may change. Your interest in whatever you're doing with work might have nothing to do with your personal side of things. It doesn't have to align. But if you're gonna spend 40 hours a week doing something at minimum, it'd be really nice and something I like to do, and there was meaning behind it. Great example of this is work-life balance. Anybody seen that on job description at all? Yeah. If I'm your boss and I am texting you at 10 o'clock at night, do I care about your work-life balance? No. That one's obviously easy. You'll see easy ones everywhere. It's the subtle hidden ones that become hard, that will attack you and take you away from your why and get you to midlife crisis in 20 years. Because the brain is really, really slow at figuring out something's weird. Your body is telling you like, man, I hate this. Oh, I'm stressed. I don't like this. But your brain is like, but you making money. Money is what we need. Because your brain is rational. Your brain wants the money. But somewhere else, there's something telling you, actually, I want freedom. Actually, I want choice. Actually, I want security. That's your why. So this is my challenge to you, which is why I'll email this to you. It is a really good thing for you to sit down and try to spend time doing, just like as if you were a business. And I'm going to give you a quick example of mine so you can see it. You don't mind switching. So all the how and the what that I gave you, I have a BS in mathematics. I have an MBA. This is the stuff that when you're networking and you go, oh my gosh, hi, I'm Rocky. What do you do? Oh, well, I'm a former CMO from Silicon Valley. That's the stuff that everybody leads with. I don't actually think any of that is important. It's the how and the what. This is actually what makes me as a human being. My resume is just a series of crap that I have accomplished over my time, but it really doesn't define me. My resume doesn't tell you that I'm super sensitive, I'm very confident, I'm highly motivated, I turn complexity into simplicity, that is my talent, and on and on and on and on. No one is going to figure out who you are except for you. And that is a superpower in business. This is what makes you attractive to businesses. Unless they don't want what you have. This helps you figure out how you are aligned with a company or not. I have the luxury, if you don't mind going to the next slide, of owning a company. This is my mission, vision, and values. My personal mission, vision, and values that I got to create in a company. So Maven, down on 900 South, all those weird businesses, lots of women words in my slide. We are actually a community that empowers women. We bring people together, particularly women, so that they can feel empowered. We do that by building spaces that are centered around the idea of community. This is why we own a Pilates studio. This is why we have a co-working space. This is why we have an event space. This is why we have a boutique hotel. This is why you can live with us and work with us. It is building the sense of community, however you want to digest it, so that you can feel empowered. Question of how do you feel empowered? Well, because our spaces are small and big. So let's say you have a startup company. You can come rent for us for like $400 a month. The average going rate in Salt Lake is more like $800 to $1,200 a month. Really, really easy to get started. We also have large spaces. Let's say that you, all of a sudden your business blows up in 6 months, but you have a year or 2 year long lease, we'll flex it. We will let you move into a different space in both directions, good or bad, i.e. big or small. We will lose money so that your business can thrive. That is what we consider empowerment. And we can apply that to every other aspect of the business, but that is what we do and how we are different. So yes, I'm a real estate developer, but the reason I am very different from other ones, I can guarantee you right now, you cannot get out of a 7-year tiered lease on your commercial space with anybody else but me, our company. The reason for that is because we really do want women to feel empowered. That means flex, ebb and flow, just like you do in your personal life. Nothing is static. Work with us, we will work with you. The why we do it is because I really care that future generations for women feel like they can do that. They have power over their lives. So you can live with us in your personal life, you can work with us in your professional life, but either way, we're here for you, because the same rules apply with our residential leases. You got a new job offer? Anybody had to ever move out of an apartment early or try to? No, not yet. I hope that you do not reach the landlord who's like, tough shit, and you owe me $33,000 or whatever to buy out your lease. But you can't help it that you got a job or an emergency happened and you need to move out. Hopefully someone will work with you. We try to do that. Can't do it every time, but we certainly try. And our values is that we really care about love. I told you I'm a very sensitive person. So I care that we do good things. I care that we think about how you're feeling and how you're feeling when we make those business decisions. And if we don't, we are on the wrong path. I also really care about curiosity. I want to know why you're moving. I'm not going to let you out of the lease just because you want out of the lease. I actually do want all of my employees to go, yeah, what's going on? Tell me. And then be loving about it. Because we may not understand it, we may not know what it is, but doesn't mean we can dismiss it. And lastly, tenacity. This is just something that I my whole life go after shit. Just do it. And if you fail along the way, that's okay. Because failure, like getting fired from multiple jobs, I don't even want to tell you how many jobs I've been fired from. Maybe 4 or 5, which is what pushed me to be an entrepreneur. I don't do well with aligning my why with other people's whys. I wanted my own. That's the tenacity. So I built it. And now I get to find other people who feel the same way and build a community around it. So that is why, unintended, the why is so important. So I would encourage you guys, big, long story. You will always have people that can tell you these things. Always. And most CEOs are really good at these things. Go do this. Your parents are probably really good at this. Go do that. And you ask age-old question, well, why? Because I said so. Well, that always makes you go, this is a shitty reason, right? You want to know the actual why, you got to find it, because most people won't get it too. But if you find somebody that is good at this, spend time with that person, because that person has a lot to teach you. This is the hard part about business. Not like a personal pitch to me being like amazing or anything, but like it does actually end that way. And that's it. That's all I got. So this is the golden circle. I have tons of resources that I'll send you guys in that if you want to read up on this, anything else like that. My contact information, so you can reach out if you have questions. But I would love if any of you guys have questions about this or anything else. Yeah.
What are some challenges you faced with being a woman-owned company?
Aside from in the 90s getting sexually harassed on the regular, and it'd be very casual, commonplace. I think the biggest insult I've gotten or challenge was I went to a bank and I sat down and they were like, all right, where's the CEO? I was like, I am the CEO. And they're like, what? It says Donati Properties. And I was like, yeah, I'm Donati. Well, where's your husband? Maybe he can help us. My husband is my employee. Well, we know that's not true. That was a big challenge. So getting funding is huge. I think also too, a lot of times having the word woman or women owned or like really emphasizing that can turn a lot of people off. Like, oh yeah, it's just another like here for women's rights type thing and some dismissal there. But honestly, most of the challenge has come from believing that we can do it, primarily trying to get women tenants. That's been the hardest part. It's self-belief that like, we could very easily give in and I could have all of my buildings full with male, especially when we started with male tenants. And we had to say, we're really trying to build like a women's community. And so we went for many months without any rent. And commercial buildings, just like mortgages, they're quite expensive. It's not like you're just not spending money. So that was probably some of the hardest stuff, was sticking to the why, even when the money was running dry. And then after a couple of years, it wasn't a problem. And we turn people away all the time as tenants. So sticking with the why, and then believing that it'll actually work is really hard because you have to believe in yourself if it's your own business, or you have to believe in your bosses or coworkers. And then, yeah, the financial access, just the you can't possibly be the owner, let me talk to your husband. We
Would
can't
that
tell
be
you
to just like motivate you more to like.
tenacity, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I went to a different bank, and then I went back to that bank, and it was like, just wanted to let you know, I'm gonna take all my money out here. And I'm gonna put it over here, and we're going to be generating money, and I went back to that banker because he always asked me to come back. He said, well, now you got 4 million, I'm like, well, now you want me, of course you do, you can have off. Other questions?
Oh, go ahead.
So when you said you founded Maven in 2017, was this like an idea you've always had and you never really thought like would work, or is that something like spontaneously, like within a couple of years, you're like, oh, I can do this, and you just did it? Or yeah, was this like something you just always, or did you have to like get to a certain point in your career where like I'm able to take this risk?
Yeah, good point. So yes, financially I was able to take the risk. So yeah, that comes into play for sure, because finance is a large driver for everything. When I was in San Francisco and I was working 80 hours a week and never taking a break or anything like that, I got really burnt out and I moved to Utah, basically to get away. And when I got here, the city is really cool. There's hundreds, if not thousands of small businesses in this city. And it was really hard to find them. And that's abnormal when you're coming from an actual big city, because Salt Lake's big, but it wasn't yet in that San Francisco, New York, Chicago era yet. And you could go to San Francisco and you could go to small businesses all day long. And my question was, well, I'm new, where do I go? How do I support local? And I couldn't find it. And so I found my business partner who was also struggling to find the small businesses. And we're like, wouldn't it be cool if we just like buy our own building and then we just like have all the businesses we want in it? And she was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. So we bought a building.
I was just like that.
Just like that.
That's-
This was also back in 2017 where you could buy a building in Utah, so keep that in mind. But yeah, so I'd say it's a combination of like what happened, but the reason it was always women was because I worked in male-dominated industries. I worked for, if any of you guys know Silencer Co. I worked for large companies that are in the firearms industry, outdoor industry, etc. So that's where my focus was, and so it was nice to have women instead of just being the only woman.